dawn over Horrorfordshire. Now, this is not some clickbait, stupid, trite, postmodern, attention-seeking crap statement that I shall make. This is the most pointless video clip ever in history. I repeat it with my, I'm going to do something about that now. This is the most pointless video clip ever, which means I'm a moron. It's just that. At my best moment of the day, 6 o'clock this morning, I kind of I reminded myself what I knew 5 or 6 years ago, of why. I reminded myself of why, how it ended up this way. And I don't believe in editing film or turning the pause on anything, but I'm going to have to, because I've got to make this good. And also, I care about my appearance and what will be thought of me. This is only this. Turning my camera on a week ago is only for one person. And anyone that might say, well, he's a smug, reckless git. I'm the luckiest person in the world. I have this thing called, it's the naff word, another word that is bandied about. It's almost as if the whole of the youth of, well, as of about a decade ago, were brainwashed into using certain words. Resilient. I'm resilient because from 2010, I went through 2 or 3 years that are the hardest that any human being could bear. Think, parent and child and loss. And I never hit the bottle, never touched the Prozac, never had a sleeping pill. Yeah. Oh, there's a car coming. It doesn't happen here. You get literally 10 vehicles a day here. This is my favourite lay-by. So I had the hardest conceivable 3 years. And come your COVID, there was a kind of reprise for a few weeks. Anyway, yeah. I only care that a young person, she's meant to be thoughtful. She reads Dostoevsky. In time to come, understands what happened in society. That's what I care about. And as a result of, well, it wasn't as a result of, but following 2 or 3 years of the ultimate nuclear bomb, that yes, even caused, though it never caused me to lose it, even caused physical things went wrong physically in stomach. Yes, for a year I had the most disastrous, seemed like a pathogen. But no, over the years I think it was much more the terrible grief emotion was interacting somehow with my system. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. I care there's a record in 10, 20 years. What really happened? And I can put it in literally 3 sentences. I also care about what one woman thinks about me. Now, she's one of those nasty foreigners. And the wonderful thing is, you see, many British lost their souls. Oh, that's a horrible thing to say. That's an unpatriotic thing to say. Yes, but I've also figured I sent her a message yesterday. I'm only here because she sent me a WhatsApp with some flowers a few days ago. No, that's not true. I should be here. I've got my spurs when it comes to being philosophical and caring. And I'm as softy, progressive, communitarian as it's possible to be. I became that way. In fact, let's do the rest of it. I wanted to do this in the sunshine, so I looked sexy. And that's important because it's about dignity. And also, you see, the Continentals, they don't mind showing off their vanity. That's important. Within that is pride. In Britain, it went too far and became grotesque. That's why I'm going to deal with my tooth in a minute. My parents literally my father literally invented. He was one of about probably 200 or 300 people in the 70s who invented the financialization of property, which is deep down so damaging within the psyche of so many in Britain in the bottom third. Fear. The property, the price of your friggin' roof over your head is determined by some spiv banker. And I used to actually work for those people. No, not in a way that people will assume. No, I performed a service for some years. Well, there we go. I don't normally talk about it because I stopped. When my daughter was born, I stopped. I used to fly around their planes. I got to know them very well. Very, very well. The masters, well, actually, no, they were all masters of the universe. They would pretend they would let in a few mistresses, but no, it was the masters of the universe. Some of them became my genuinely enjoyed friends. Some of them were sort of little private anarchists. No, it's the wrong word. They saw through all the bullshit. Anyway, keeping it short and sweet, my father literally was one of the, by accident, due to the normal class weirdness of Britain, he was one of the 1,000 people that invented financializing property in Britain, which is deep down at the root of so much compared to Europe. And my mother, played this tremendously, it's bizarre. Google can't spell the word disingenuous. Disingenuous act for years. Very, very damaging. The money, by accident, came from a chance contract in Saudi Arabia, or rather the great blob of it that came into their life in the 70s and 80s. And she would pretend, like so many do in this country, to be this super Laura Ashley loving, sweet. I mean, basically, they took their cue from, was it Felicity Kendall in The Good Life? This sort of super wholesome, smiley thing. And she was lethal, totally lethal. She would sell her soul to retain the lifestyle, the Simulator GTX, the Jensen Interceptor that were parked outside of the, one good thing, owned some farms in North Wales, and then my friends, my cohort, I was going to put my nice shirt on for this because I care about what one person thinks if she sees this. I really care. Yep, so lifestyle. No, I don't have mummy and daddy issues because I'm the luckiest person in the world in that I got myself booted out of their dreadful little private schools for completely pacifist reasons, quite early, preteen, and went to a comprehensive where my wonderfully balanced lower middle class, very ordinary, in a very, very, not a poor backwater, were so wonderful. And gradually I spent my 20s gradually disconnecting. And I, as I have previously alluded to, would jokingly call myself a communist. No, I became a communitarian very gradually. And it's so painful over a long time to gradually disconnect, to have to disconnect from what you saw as your family, because it's painful, but it's part of life. Sometimes you have to make these decisions gradually, not entirely. That's brutal. You can't say it's fascist, but yes, because I saw, I mean, I'm surrounded here where I am, although there's one or two families here who are earthy and homespun, but they've all been edged out or being edged out, and they know they are. And in that state, they're unfortunately quite it's fear, isn't it? Deep down. Anyway, yeah, I'm surrounded by the masters of the universe took over this region. They colonized this region, and those who were here already, they developed themselves into something. Watch. I have to say, I rather enjoyed it. Watch the James Bond. What's it called? No Time to Die. I mean, yeah, I thought they'd stopped behind me. This is the problem now. 2 years ago, you could be doing this, sat here, and nobody would pay the blindest bit of notice. Now there's this kind of vigilante attitude that you find in people. You see it. It's horrible. That's why I'm going. Anyway. Yeah, so the aesthetic became the Range Rover Discovery, or whatever it is, the shotgun metal, basically gangster vehicle that No Time to Die, which I have to say actually had me almost tearful. They had a little girl in it, and it's wonderful at the end, and James dies to save, well, I'm getting quite tearful now. I was slightly desperate, if truth be told. It's a good way of relaxing sometimes, shutting off. In fact, I watched it in 2 sessions. That was quite, good stuff. At last, they feature a little child. Poor little thing, though. She was so traumatized by all those discoveries. Doing somersaults around her. God, I'm beginning to sound like, I probably do sound like a raving dervish. There's a serious point. Yes, so even around here, the aesthetic is the master of the universe in his £80,000 customised fucking, Master of the Universe mobile, and we've got a pub up there, a mile up there, where they all congregate. Go. Why did I go on to that? Yeah, I don't have any chips on my shoulders because having been not a side, you can't be a side if it's your family. I mean, my father had one of the first Range Rovers in Britain. It was embarrassing. God, he was such a tit. He joined the Hutt. Be crystal clear. You see, this is the problem with the left. The left. My father joined the Hunt, age about 35, having relocated from a city. And there was only one reason. A 35-year-old 40 man has license to spend the afternoon with young women his wife generally doesn't go hunting, dressed up, and there's drink involved. I mean, that's what hunting is. It's a complete licensed lech exercise. But the left, the pathetic left, and it's damaging. It's not funny. Damaged my family. My mother, bless her cotton socks, despite her disingenuity. Well, that's pretty awful to have to deal with. Yeah, he's off, and it was fucking embarrassing for the kids as well. He's off being Mr. Oh, no, we're doing a service to the countryside, maintaining fox numbers. No, they're lecherous. Anyway, the point is this, is that whole way of life, which is too nice a phrase for lifestyle, or rather haute bourgeoisie, nouveau riche, whatever, master of the universe aesthetic, so damaged so many people. I saw it in my parents' groups, cohorts, people, how their kids my age, as I was in my early 20s, were damaged, were really, I mean, half of them, I'm quite sure, did end up in the Priory. It's not about silver spoon, poor little things. No, they're innocent. They're born innocent into that thing that developed in Britain, and it's not spoken about anything like enough, which is that in the early 90s, this group decoupled. Stephen Polyakov covered it actually quite well in his dramatic works. They decoupled into their own expanding universe of this ultra stylish Jaeger shotgun metal ultra Range Rover Aston Martin kind of thing. They decoupled into that, and it started to arrive here about 20 years ago, which is why I hate it round here, because Hey On Why pretends that it's this sort of mythical hobbit land of, no, it's not. It's full of their children who are really screwed up and who've brought so many bad drugs into this area as local parents. I spent an hour yesterday talking with some they're terrified of. That's the reality. The fucking myth that's sold to tourists or incomes via the estate agents is damaging. Myths are damaging. Theme parks are not good places. We knew that about... there were some good American movies about 40 years ago that shared this with us. Anyway, turn off and turn on in a minute for the actual message. And I repeat, because it's important, what I'm about to say is the most pointless thing ever to say. It's genuinely pointless. It's going to cost me money. I've got to turn my engine on to charge my battery. I'm an idiot. This proves I'm a psychopath. And I mean it to myself. It's pointless. I mean, you had the Norwegian guy, I forget his name, who was making YouTube videos as of about May, June 2020. The world is coming to an end. They're coming for you. He was
I must find his name. He was taking films of himself around his campfire, being a prepper, and wanted to be a YouTube sensation, quite obviously, because he can't make a living else doing anything else. He's seductive, and it did nothing. It's bullshit. It's quite enjoyable in certain ways. But it's their conceit. I know this is pointless because of what I'm going to say, what I'm going to share. And I mean that. It's not some trite, like I said, postmodern, weird, masochistic sort of, although I rather like him, Sacha Baron Cohen kind of Ali G bizarre twist on the aesthetic, underlying zeitgeist, super clever, blah, blah, blah. No, it's actually pointless. I'm stupid because I like walking in the hills, and it's going to be the first proper sunny day for about 2 months. I'm a moron, almost as bad as the rest of them, but I can put what's happened in about 3 sentences. But I repeat, it's pointless to do so. That's the point. That is why I've turned my camera on. Because if people just listened, it's pointless, and I shall explain why. Totally pointless to talk about anything that's happened in the last 2 years. That is harming people.